the world's best damn fighting machine, oh. Them Nazis will learn what I mean, oh. My wonderful guns will murder them bums, and I'll bury them in the latrino.
Welcome back to the Achievement Hunting 101 Game Club for OXENFREE. I am Kronos, and tonight for our discussion I am joined by Freemhole.
Hello!
And Pete-Tart TX.
Hey!
So this time, we're going to catch up with where people are, because last time we had to cut our discussion short. We were running a little bit long as our discussion of the Clarissa side of the loop, and we ended going back to Hardin Tower and realizing we had a decision to make about who we were going to go into town with. And I mentioned at the end of last week that I had, in my playthrough, elected to go into town with Nona. Who do you guys choose to take to go into town with you?
I chose to go with Jonas because I've kind of stuck with him the entire way, and I don't know, I just felt like I needed to stay faithful to him.
And I went with Nona as well. She was delightful. And it's her birthday, so come on!
Well, not quite yet. Her birthday is in 3 days,
okay.
assuming we can get off the island and she can celebrate her birthday. But yeah, we know this now if we take Nona, and that may come up a little bit later on as well. The path you walk is obviously the same, but the conversations you have along the way are going to be very different, because Nona, this is, in a lot of cases, the very first chance you have to really meet and interact with Nona for a lot of folks.
Absolutely.
Whereas you, Petard, are going to just mostly have more of Jonas, and we've gotten to know Jonas pretty well already through the night, having gone around both sides of the loop of the island with him so far. But we get to know him better as well, get to see a different side of him, perhaps. So, how was that walk for you? Freem, why don't you tell us about the stuff that you and Nona talked about?
Well, so here's the thing. I totally forgot where we left off. And so I looked at my map, and I didn't know. I knew we were trying to find the boathouse or whatever, or like the key for the boathouse, and I was like, okay, I don't know where that is. So I started wandering around the island quite a bit, and all I could hear was Nona talking about, boy, do you think Clarissa's okay? Where's Clarissa? How does Clarissa doing? And it's like, God, just shut up about Clarissa. Goodness gracious. Don't you have anything else to say?
And she's worried.
Well, there was that weird bit where she was like, I totally remember you in that one class, and like I passed it off like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. We don't really hang out. I get it. I thought that was kind of weird. But yeah, the whole time it was just, she was so obsessive about Clarissa.
Okay. How about you, Petard? What was the conversation like with Jonas trying to get to town?
So this was from my playthrough a couple weeks ago, but I don't remember every single intimate detail that we talked about. But the biggest thing I do remember is he talked about his time that he spent in jail. I found that very shocking.
Yeah, we had an opportunity to discuss with him earlier whether he had gone to jail or not. And if you actually point blank ask him, he denies it. But now it's been an issue where we've gone through some trauma together, and he's opening up. He's telling us a little bit about it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Apparently, he just lost his temper and beat up a kid at school. And I believe he talks about his mom a little bit, his mom that passed away on our walk as well.
Mm-hmm. That's obviously been a very formative thing for him. Obviously, a death, especially the first time that someone that you love dies, is very hard. And when you are young, it's that much harder, especially when it's someone as close to you as that. So this has affected him profoundly, and it really is a major point in his backstory that is going to come up again as we go further into the game. But we are going to make it to the town, and basically as soon as we get to town, we meet Clarissa again.
Hey, there she is!
She's just hanging out on top of a light post, doing whatever she wants, because she's Clarissa.
Well, and you see her, and it's like immediately red eyes, or when she starts mumbling all sorts of garbage, and it's like, hey, I know how to handle this, guys. Let me bust out my radio.
We've been through this before.
Mm-hmm. Yep, creepy Clarissa.
Yeah, but this one was different. So, and I have to assume this happened to you guys when you start messing with that radio. And Clarissa freaks out on you. So I got I tuned it, right? I got the first triangle. It's like, all right, we'll just do this again. And I go to the second triangle, and immediately after the second triangle shows up, she's like, you think you can control me? I'm like, whoa, hey, I'm just here trying to help. And I don't remember what she said after that, but Alex is like, hey, it helped the others. They're kids. They've never been through anything. Whoa, this was real aggressive. What's going on here?
Well, Clarissa has always been the aggressive one. In our very first conversation, I mentioned just how aggressive she was and how that makes her a very divisive character. She was so aggressive, you called her the wing bitch.
Oh, yeah.
So she's just playing true to type here.
Absolutely.
Even when she's possessed.
Well, at that point, too, because she says, like, they are kids. Like, she's not even referring to herself as Clarissa, right? I mean, this isn't Clarissa. Whatever entity's possessing her is clearly addressing me as Alex, and Alex, as the character, knows, like, I know you're not Clarissa, but you're also not helpful, and you're being kind of mean about it.
The entities are spending less and less time pretending, and in a lot of ways that makes it actually creepier.
Oh, yeah.
Because they seem like they feel like they're in control. They are in control, but she is still Clarissa. This is perhaps the real Clarissa for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
So you're gonna finish off the triangle with her, and
No, I never got to. I never did. Did you guys get to finish the triangle? No way. All of a sudden, like, the ghosty zipped out, and she looked bad. And all of a sudden, Ghost zipped out, and then Clarissa, just like when all the entities leave, the body becomes limp, and Clarissa just does a face plant off the top of a streetlight, right onto the ground, and then and then gets up and then like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, what? What do you? You were dead like a minute ago? Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm a little foggy. I remember seeing you. It's a little weird. I'm like, again, I don't have the option as the character to say this, but as the player, I'm thinking, you just took a face full of concrete. Like, how are you okay? What's going on?
from like 10 or 12 feet up.
Yeah.
It's a regular occurrence for her. I mean, she did it out of a building and now off a lamppost. So,
Yeah, we do have a sort of not a full time loop because we don't have to do anything with the magnetophones this time around. So it's not quite the same, but something happens and she's gone. And we go back to our mission of trying to find the key to get into the Adler house so we can get her boat and get out of here.
Yeah, so we break down a door, a little breaking and entering.
You broke in. Petart, did you break in?
I just pushed the door. Is that breaking in? Like, I just shoved the door?
You shoved it.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, you had to put your shoulder into it.
I made Jonas do it.
Yeah, he's a criminal. You do it.
Jonas can actually pick the lock.
Oh, really?
He picks the lock
That's
at the
kinda
top
cool.
of the tower, and he can pick the lock here if you take Jonas with you. He can open that if you just give him a few minutes. If you bring Nona, you have to break in by both of you pushing on the door because neither of you is strong enough to do it by yourself. And it's somewhat similar if you bring Ren, if my recollection is correct. But if you bring Jonas, he'll pick the lock for you if you let him.
Interesting.
So inside the museum, there's a lot of little things to look at. Some, like I said before, this game is just chock full of interesting details. And this room is one of those places where there's a lot of little details that don't necessarily add a ton to the story, but give it a lot of... It shows that this place is alive. But you can find the radio, which you need to find, and gave it away. The new key is a new radio.
Mm-hmm.
And this new radio has extra stations on it. It goes much higher and much lower on the dial than your regular radio does.
Yeah, like down to 50 hertz, and
that means you can pick up new signals.
Up to 100.
Isn't it up to
150 or 140 or something? It's way out there. No, it's like 170, 180. I know frequencies are way messed up.
The range is probably twice as big as your basic radio. So with the radio and our key, it's time to make our way to the Adler house. This is a short walk. It's just a few screens away. This can't possibly take too long.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm, of course, making a joke because it takes a little while. What makes this thing take so long?
Because we go back in time.
We've got a flashback.
We got a bunch of Well, it's... So the first one, and I think this was back when you were breaking in that door, was like... It was like the beach scene, but you were in the town. Right, you were playing Truth or Slap, but you were in the town, right? That was during your conversation with Clarissa?
Yes, that's when Clarissa disappears.
Yeah.
So she's taking you back to that section, then she's going to vanish.
Super confrontational with her there. And I started to come clean about that. So then when we start walking, we're back in time now, and Clarissa is... It flashes back to a year ago, and you are with Michael, and Clarissa is totally normal.
Clarissa is happy. She's not just normal. She's happy.
Yes, and Alex has brown hair.
Good catch. That is correct. She does.
Oh, I did not see that. I mean, I know now that you said it, and I hear that, but I didn't put that together initially.
So the Alex's brain from right now, experiencing all this, is sort of placed in this Alex's body from a year ago, knowing all the things she currently does, knowing that Alex is going to die, and that she and Clarissa and Michael are out on this beach trip for a date night, essentially, and she's chaperoning it. But she knows this is how this is going to end, and she's confused because she doesn't think that she's been transported back in reality in time. She thinks that somehow this is just the island playing tricks on her again, which, fair point, it probably is. You have a couple of interesting conversation options here. A couple of the things I want to point out, and then we can talk about some of the things you guys had as specific examples. Michael, during this period of time, talks about how their parents have been fighting. They were already fighting before he passes away, so their relationship was a bit on the rocks. And there's a time in here where you get your chance to make a choice, to tell Michael how you think he should handle his relationship with Clarissa. She wanders off to get a cold drink from town, and you have a heart-to-heart with your brother. What do you think? Is this going to work out? Should I let it go or stay out of the way? Another interesting thing about this flashback that I noticed is that the soundtrack that is so pervasive throughout this entire game, so successful in setting the mood, is completely absent in this flashback.
Yeah.
I did not notice that.
What else happened to the flashback for you guys?
Did this flashback start with that scene where they were playing Truth or Slap when they first got on the island? Or
no, that was
did we go past
flashback
that
already? We've gone past that. We can certainly go back if there's something important there. That's the flashback that sort of segues us from Clarissa taking the face plant onto the concrete to the point where she disappears, because we need some sort of... If she were just to vanish, it'd be surprising. We need a visual cue that something has changed, that we've had a scene change, even though we haven't left the area. So that flashback is happening there. And it was an interesting one. We're definitely getting a lot of information out of Clarissa there.
Yeah, I'll go back to that one for a sec, because that keyed in onto my behavior for this flashback with Michael. Is when it first happened and I was there, and I started freaking out, and I was getting, mad, and Clarissa was yelling at me, and, we're talking about Michael drowning and stuff, and Nona came up and supported me. Like, she was like, hey, knock it off, Clarissa, you're being a jerk, whatever. And so then when that little time loop thing ended, and Nona was there with me, and she was kind of like, hey, because she hadn't experienced a time loop with Alex before, who obviously, being able to, having us as the fourth wall here, letting us know, yeah, we know what's going on, but Nona doesn't. And so I was very much like super blasé about the whole fact that there are ghosts and time loops and we're going back in time. And so I was just kind of, oh yeah, deja vu. Oh yeah, constantly dealing with these ghosts things. Yeah, don't worry about it. And I was super nonchalant about it, like, okay, I'm Alex. I'm the main character. I'm in control, quote unquote, in control when it comes to these time loop things. I'm the only one who, has this external point of view and knows what's going on. So, you know what, Nona? Just hold my beer. I'll take care of what's going on. and so then when we get to this Michael scene, I'm kind of doing the same thing. I am back in time, like you had said, with the knowledge of the future. And so I'm like, these things need to happen, Michael. Like, don't, and I said to him, you got to dump Clarissa. Get rid of her. And he's leaving. He wants out. So just, go do your thing. Get out of here. Because I know you got to get away from the water at least. Obviously, I didn't have an option to say that kind of thing. But I'm playing it off like I'm coming back from the future to help you. I'm changing the events of the past. And it's written so well where the comments that I'm thinking I'm making, Michael is obviously has no idea what's going on, and he's turning them. And that's where the comment about, oh yeah, well, just because our parents are fighting, they fight all that, that happens. It's okay. It's nothing to do with us. And I'm thinking, I'm not talking about our parents. I'm talking about the fact that you died, and for the last year, I've been trying to deal with it, And he's thinking, oh no, they're okay. It'll be fine. It's like, it's not going to be fine. What is wrong with you? And at that point, when I yelled, it's not fine, is when I was just like, I can't do anything. I can't change anything. And so I just need to let Michael know how I feel about him. This might be my chance, my only chance here to kind of see him again. And so kind of just being worn down by the fact that it was helpless to do anything is what keyed me in. I actually had this so I'm going to take a little tangent here. I had this conversation with my son, who is 11, about time travel and how you can't go backwards in time. And we were talking about the movie, or the H.G. Wells book, The Time Machine, and the fact that, like, the time machine can't exist if his wife doesn't die, because his wife triggers him to make the time machine. And so those two things have to happen so that the events take place as they do. And so I finally got to that point in this story where it was like, if Michael doesn't die, then I'm not here. So I can't change anything, and I have to watch his final days as a flashback, and it's super depressing, and I'm just down, you know?
So, quick question for you, Freem, since you chose a different companion. In that first initial flashback with them on the beach, when they first arrived, did Clarissa flat out blame you for Michael's death?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, because that really stood out to me.
And I said it wasn't my fault.
I also said the same thing. That definitely stood out to me that she was blaming. I mean, that's, a lot of reason that she has that bitterness toward Alex is because she blames him for Michael's death because, Alex is the one who insisted that they needed to go back out to the island. She wanted to go for a swim. She wanted to go out one last time before he left. And yeah, I mean, provided a lot more. I guess I understand where Clarissa's coming from a little bit more. And with segueing to that, I made the decision for when we time traveled back that he should stay with Clarissa because, you got to see a different side of her. And I guess I understood why she has that bitterness.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead and said, I know what she becomes. So dump her, get rid of her. She's mean. She's a bully. I've seen her true colors.
You've seen what she's like when she's stressed out. It doesn't have to be your death that stresses her out, but something's going to stress her out, and you don't want to see that when it happens.
Right. That's kind of where the angle I was taking.
So I have a question for you guys. You both have given me the answer of what choice you made, but remember that when you were on the loop where you saved Ren, you had the reflection tell you what to do when this time came up. Did you listen to your reflection, or did you make your own choice?
No, I think I did the same. I did what my reflection said, is to get them to break up.
I don't remember what my reflection told me to do.
So that's a very emotional flashback sequence, and we come out of it, and our companion, Nona, and on Freem in my case, or Jonas in your case, Petart, is standing above us as we are on the ground, and is telling us that, we were kind of out of it. We were basically possessed. While we were having that flashback, our body was doing what Clarissa's body was just doing a few minutes ago, or what Jonas's body was doing when we spoke about this last week, or what Ren's body was doing 2 weeks ago. The ghosts are getting to us, too, and this is what we see when that happens.
Oh, so the other characters are seeing flashbacks, or...
They might. They're not talking about it.
No, they're seeing us. Yeah. It seems as though they're seeing Alex dancing around like a puppet and being lifted up in the air and weird stuff.
And since no one else has the radio, they can't help us out, so it just has to wear off after a few minutes. I also want to say that during the very end of this flashback, as we come back to that main sequence, the bottom and the top of the screen get that staticky, warped look that you often see when you're in your time loops, and I think that's meaningful. I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to signify, but it's there for a reason.
Well, I think it just means, to me, it means you are in a dimensional shift. You're not in whatever, you consider the real world, but you have shifted into a different plane of existence. Maybe time is different, or even which year or when this takes place could be different. But I just get the impression that, if you had a candle burning and you went to this staticky area, the wax wouldn't be diminishing at all. Time kind of stands still. That's how I feel when I see that type of visual imagery.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. We get back up and we walk the rest of the way to the front of Maggie Adler's house, where we get to the locked gate, and we get to the rest of our party. In Freem, in my case, Jonas or Ren are right there, and in your case, Petart, I'm going to guess that since you brought Jonas, Ren and Nona are hanging out in front. But in either case, Clarissa is missing. So we have 4 people.
She ran off again.
We're not entirely sure when we've seen her last. She was probably the person who was on top of the lamppost, and we had interactions with her, but we're not entirely sure which ones are even the real her at this point. And perhaps we never will be.
I thought it was funny because obviously I had mentioned last time that I was so sick of Jonas and Ren that I left them up in the tower. I'm like, you guys figure out your stuff. And so immediately the first thing I asked them was oh, did you guys make up? And they were both, yeah, whatever. we're fine. They didn't want to talk about it. They clearly didn't do what I told them to do.
They're still being antagonistic.
Bunch of jerks.
Guys.
So it's our turn to open up the gate, and we have the new lock mechanic being brought to us. So for this lock mechanic, we tune the radio, just like every other time, and it opens up the lock. Except that the tuning is slightly different because it's on the newer radio, and you have to hold it. It's the same kind of thing. It's the radio. So it's not too hard, and you can get across and into the next scene, our threshold. And this was going to be where we were going to have our stop last week, but I'm glad we stopped early because obviously there's a lot of stuff we had to cover here. Honestly, I had forgotten about that flashback sequence with Michael and Clarissa on the beach. I thought that was later, and so therefore I thought we had less stuff to cover. But that's obviously a really big portion of the game and needs to have a reasonable period of discussion. We get into Maggie Adler's house area, and we see the boat. There is a boat.
Yay!
Yep. I will say that this house... So, when you see that boat and you're like, hey, no keys, we can't drive it, what are we going to do? Well, maybe we can get into this house. Another one of those locks is in there. And so you're cruising around this house. So at this point, I've stretched myself out very thin this week as I recorded with the rest of the show last night for a little segment. And I needed to get this done. So it was 1 a.m. And again, 100% kudos to the sound design team. This house, with just its creaking, was terrifying. I was so unnerved simply just walking around this house with its just slight noises, and oh man, it was just so unsettling.
That's really the immersion that a pair of headphones can get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say halfway through my exploration during this house, I actually just hit pause, got up, left the room, and came back. Yes, because I'm like, something is going to happen very soon. You
can feel the tension building.
Yes.
Well, first of all, as soon as you open the lock, you see Clarissa. She's already in the house.
Yep. That was
And she's
weird.
not glowing.
No, she's
normal. She's not glowing. She's not possessed.
But she somehow got in there.
She says she climbed in through the kitchen window.
But isn't it at the beginning of the story where, that weird time shift happened and everybody ended up in different places across the island? Is it just that again and she happened to get dropped in the kitchen of the house?
Makes perfect sense to me.
Maybe.
I honestly don't think she really did sneak in the kitchen window. Because with the front door locked with this particular security lock, and knowing what we are going to learn about Maggie Adler, I don't think she's the kind of person who would have left the kitchen window open.
Unlocked. Yeah. No, that's totally fair.
And, Clarissa is right back. After the flashback, she was nice and friendly. She's right back in hitting it hard. She does not like us. She is attacking us again right from the start. It is remarkable, in fact, how the personality shifted so suddenly from us in terms of continuity. It can be a bit like Whiplash.
Yeah, she's super unfriendly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she gets real vicious here.
Looking for the boat keys. Where are the boat keys? We gotta explore the house. You hear all the creaking. There's a lot of memorabilia around. There's a picture of Maggie and some friends of hers. There's a bunch of books. The books are really interesting. There's books on all kinds of cult sciences, on real sciences, religion, everything you'd expect to see in a nice house for someone of Maggie Adler's age. Eventually you're going to go and explore the attic, though, because that's where you need to go.
Yep.
Does going to the attic seem like a wise idea? Isn't that kind of a creepy thing? I mean, Jonas brings this up. He says that attics are always kind of creepy because it's confined spaces and dark and spiders and all these things that just make it creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, completely nothing scary about attics.
So when you go to the chest and it's got that lock on it, is there any way to have that code before you get up there?
Yes.
Yes, I did that by accident.
So did I.
You went in that room with Ren first?
Yep, when I was exploring, I had gone into the basement first, yes.
Yes, and I went in there with Jonas.
Yeah, I actually went into the basement area before I went into the house on my first playthrough.
Me too.
Even before I unlocked the door and met Clarissa, I'd already explored that area.
I did that as well.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I didn't do that at all. I was in the house and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I need a code. Like, okay. There's all this crap on the walls, there's all sorts of stuff. It's gotta be here somewhere. And then I saw at the bottom of my screen, and it was Ren, open that little basement door outside, and I'm like, okay. I've played enough video games. I think I know what's going on here.
They're signposting for you pretty well throughout. It's the game really does do a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
Kronos and I were just playing more efficiently.
Either way, you do need to go to the basement to get the code. And in the basement, there's more memorabilia, more books, and a reel-to-reel video player and slide machine, and some decks of slides and photos. You can play around with them a little bit, but we'll come back to that later on because we're going to have to use that in a few minutes anyway. But you get the code either before you explore the house or after, and you go back up to the attic and you put the code in, and inside the chest is just more radios and debris, basically. Not what we were looking for at all. Except that Jonas finds the keys. So we missed it, but Jonas finds it.
Or did Jonas have the keys all along? Duh, duh, duh.
Well, that's an interesting take. He's practicing his prestidigitation and pulls them out of his back pocket and sneaks them into the chest. Interesting.
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, I mean, look at his history. He's been to jail. He can pick locks. He gets in the fights, and I don't know. He's kind of a shady guy.
That's super. Yeah, that's a good take. I never even considered.
I like it as well. I hadn't considered it either, and I think it brings a lot of extra nuance to this situation that is very reasonable. So one of the things I noticed as you're exploring the house is that there are candles all over the house, like big tall pillar candles, and they're scattered in interesting patterns. It's almost like occult rituals are taking place here. At least that was a read that I had on it at one point.
I didn't even notice the candles.
Is this before or after the house goes all kitty wumpus on you?
That's a fair point. I only noticed it after, so let's get to that. But I think they were there before. But I did notice it after. And what happens is, well, now we got the boat keys. Cool. We've got the keys. We've got everyone. Clarissa's in the house too. Guys, it's time to go home. Game's over. Let's get out of here. Just go down the stairs and... nuts.
Yep. Just like attics aren't creepy, the video game's just going to wrap up all simple, neat, and square there. So.
Yep, we win.
Yeah, I have my note here is Lee Corso's line, "Not so fast, my friends." Going down the stairs triggers our next time loop. We end up back in the attic, and Clarissa's talking to us.
Everybody's sleeping.
Are they sleeping?
The first people I saw were all I put quotes around the word sleeping because when we see this, it's very much like they're just sacks of potatoes, just limp bodies. But they're in at least upright positions, like they fell asleep on a couch, except Nona, who's crumpled on the floor. But the other two boys are, like, at least propped up against something.
Yeah, I mean, it's plausible that they could be sleeping.
And so I saw them first, and then creepy Clarissa gets in there, and whoo boy.
Come and talk to me. And you can check on everybody first. You know, you can delay it as much as you want, but you're not getting anywhere until you go into the living room and have a chat with Clarissa.
And so at this point, I was trying my hardest to avoid the mirror. I felt super uneasy with this mirror, and so I'm just trying to dodge this whole thing, and then walk over to Clarissa, and the fact like she has still very much her voice. Like it's not that distortion voice that we were typically hearing. It's still, there's still a bit of that in the background, but it's very much Clarissa. Almost like you're having a conversation with her, maybe a little bit of echo on there, but it's not where it's that weird, like, choppiness that we were getting from these ghosts before.
Yeah, I mean, they maybe slip through occasionally, but it's usually Clarissa's voice telling us and interacting with us rather than what you're experiencing before.
Yeah, I noticed the difference as well, that time frame. Yeah, her voice was a lot more clear. It wasn't so, like, I don't know, authoritative like the recordings or like that scratchiness that we're used to hearing from those entities. But what she says...
I didn't write down the transcript on this one because ultimately what they are saying here isn't so important in terms of the wording that they use because they're using Clarissa's voice, it's much clearer. And they are actually communicating in very, very clear terms. But they're going to play a game with us.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to play a game just like they played Hangman with us before. Now it's time to have a scavenger hunt.
Well, and like I wrote this statement down because it really got me was, this is the final part of your training, Alex.
Yes.
I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? What training? And the Clarissa entity is consistently using the pronoun we. We are doing this, and we need this, and we are... And it's like, oh boy, okay. Everything's coming to a head now.
Mm-hmm. So before the start of that game, she sings that little ditty, something about candles, and then she sings about chopping off your heads. Oh, that really creeped me out and got to me.
Yeah. Right?
She was just singing all like almost happy, like,
There was a song, I don't remember the specifics, but I remember I was unsettled.
yes, yes.
That's this game's specialty is
Yeah,
unsettling us.
100%.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have the transcript on that one because that was really creepy.
The gist of it is that it's clear, well, as Freem's saying, the we pronoun, the ghosts are the sunken, the soldiers, sailors, officers who were on the submarine, and what they are after, as we find out through this game and in the conversation before and after the game, they are very upset that they died in their youth, and they want more life.
Right.
Seems pretty reasonable. Unfortunately, they found a path to get more life, or so they think, and they talk about Maggie Adler and her friend Anna. That this is not the first time this particular series of events has occurred. Maggie has had a run-in with us before, and her friend Anna has had a run-in with her before. And when that happened, Anna died. Whatever happened, it went really bad for Anna, because the ghosts tried to get into her and live inside of her, and something about it went wrong.
Did this happen after the game? Or, because I'm trying to think of the clue for, how did everybody do at the game?
Oh, I did terrible.
I got B2. I only got 1 out of 3.
Okay, I got 2 of them. Are they the same? Radiation and not, and then memories or whatever as the clues?
No, I had different ones, I thought. Or no, are those the clues? Okay, no, you had to find the
Those
TV.
are the clues. Yeah, TV.
Yeah, the letter and
picture. It was a letter? Mine was a picture of that knot on the wall.
no, mine was like it referred to like a book or some kind of notes for my second one.
Oh, interesting. Kronos, did you have the knot?
I had the knot as well, but I have also had the letter, yes. So
okay,
I've had them both.
Interesting. I suppose you've had multiple. To get the completion, you need multiple playthroughs. And always does the second one flip the house upside down?
Just like in the Hangman game.
Okay. Gosh, that was really hard to navigate.
Hard. That's why I definitely missed that one. You're trying to find these things, you don't necessarily know where they are. How much exploring you did in the house beforehand matters, but they weren't interactable before, so unless you were really paying attention, and the art style in this game is really nice and it sets the tone, but it's not super detailed, so you're not necessarily going to see a picture of a knot or a portrait, or fortunately you see the bookcases, but you're looking for some really small things sometimes.
Yeah, and she doesn't give you much time.
Yeah, she counts from 10.
No, that's what caught me up on the memories thing, because I struggled to get to the knot because it was upside down. And then I knew I had my third one, and I was like, boy, she counts really fast. So I parked myself at the top of the stairs so I could, go in all 3 directions. And then she said memories. I'm like, okay, it's got to be a picture of some sort. And so I walked over by Ren because he's got that big wall of whatever. And I keep hitting A. I'm tap, 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 tap. Like, oh, no, okay. You know what? Maybe it's like one of those weird riddle things. And it's like, oh, memory. Like, I'm the memory. I'm going to go to the mirror. Because that thing's been freaking me out. I wonder if something's going to happen. And so I went the wrong way and missed the stupid picture.
And the third one can also be upstairs or downstairs. So, because the third one can change as well, you can either have a portrait of Maggie and Anna, or you can have a picture on the wall. So it's both times it's a picture, but it's
so mine was of
Maggie and
Anna.
Either upstairs or downstairs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, mine was Maggie and Anna as well. So, Freem, when you answered you said you got 1 wrong. Who disappeared?
That last one.
Yeah, who disappeared
Ren.
when that happened?
Ren got warped into oblivion.
So Nona went first for me, and then Jonas, and I was left with Ren.
Yeah, I wonder why that would be. If is it random? Do you have any idea, Cronus?
Which ones did you guys get wrong? You said that the one that you missed was the portrait. Peter, did you get the portrait one? And which one did you miss? Or which 2 did you miss?
I only got the portrait. I got the portrait
so
correct.
That was the one that Freem missed. So that'd be my guess as to how it's programmed, so that it's per thing to a specific individual, and then
you missed the first one, it's Nona. You missed the second one, that makes sense.
Yeah. After having played it the first time, I didn't make a mistake again the second and third time, so I didn't see the pattern there. So that's my guess.
Yeah, it could be.
So yeah, we finish the game, we have the conversation, we continue that, and that's where the stuff that was happening was. It becomes very clear. The ghosts are telling us what their plan is. They are going to take over our bodies so that they can live their lives that were ripped away from them. And they're still very angry about their deaths, and they have zero sympathy for us, and we have zero sympathy for them, and we can even say as much. But it doesn't matter. This is their plan, and they are seeming like they're going to be able to enact it.
Well, and after this game, because they had said others played the game before, Anna and Margaret, only one survived. But we found a way. The way we did it initially didn't work.
We went too fast when you need to soak in.
Exactly. I love the wording there. Like waves. We need to absorb into your friends, and we will grow and morph, and Anna was too fast. We need to soak. The word soak was so... It's so evocative. I love how that played out.
It's poetic language here. How sunlight blooms into flowers and how they're going to soak into our bodies. Mm-hmm. And it maybe explains some of their rationale for why they're playing the games with us, because they need to introduce themselves to us slowly rather than trying to just slam their way in and take over.
So I have a little note here, and this is where my wild speculation comes into play. Should we hear it now, or should we play out?
Go for it. Let's hear speculation.
Okay. So, as hearing this and hearing the words soak and getting all this, my brain was thinking, okay, so Michael died a year ago, and then we were here on this island. Has Clarissa been possessed since then? And she is like a siren luring us back to the island one more time, knowing like, okay, I gotta get my friends' bodies. So for like a whole year, we've been having this little group, and I'm trying to get you all come to the island because I need you to be here. And I know that, that piece of work, Alex, can't keep her nose out of things, and so she's gonna jerk around at the radio, and that'll open the door for us to come. So in my head, I don't know. Again, it seems way out there, but I'm maybe Clarissa is not so great.
Interesting. So I guess this may be a dumb question, but what brought them to the island to begin with? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a very happy place for them if the last time they went there, Michael drowned.
So I misunderstood your question. I thought for a second you were asking what brought the ghosts to the island. Well, they've been there the entire time. In fact, we asked them that, or had a chance to ask them that in a previous session. And they say, why are we here? What a question. We never left. Now, what brings Alex and Clarissa back to the island after the tragedy? A year later to, have a drinking party on the beach that doesn't seem particularly safe when you know that a friend of yours or your brother has died on that beach drowning. It's tough. Why come back? Because it's a tradition. This island has a real place in the hearts of the townsfolk of the island. They all seem to do this. It's a ritual for kids in this grade to do it. Now, why are only these ones there rather than the rest of their class? That's a fair question. They didn't have to come, clearly, but they did. Mm-hmm. What makes us do the things we do, and what makes these characters do this particular thing? That's a tough question. I don't have a good answer for you right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of thought piece there.
They finish telling us their plan.
Yep, now do we get to talk about the mirror?
They finish telling us their plan, and Clarissa disappears, and we're in that whole time loop thing again, and there are the 3 magnetophones. We got 3 this time. This is a familiar routine now, though. We've done it before. So now it's time to run about the house and turn off all of the magnetophones and spin them around to get the music playing. And that requires you to walk in front of the mirror. And when you walk in front of the mirror, it's happening again. You get another vision of yourself.
The name.
Someone is telling you something else to do when you get the next chance as you. And there's another gamer tag. So we talked about this last time, so you had a chance to pay attention to it. Who was the gamer tag you had this time? Was it the same one as last time, or was it a new person?
New. Yeah, mine's pretty funny, so I'll let P-Tart answer.
You guys both know that I failed to pay attention to the other ones. I do not know if it's new, but this time it was Matriarch.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
What did Matriarch tell you to do?
I just got so excited that I actually paid attention to the gamer tag that I know she said something about Michael, and that is about all I caught, and I ran to hit the pause button because I was writing down her gamer tag and missed what was said.
Sure. She has the choice to tell you to tell Michael to go away to college, tell Michael to stay and don't go away to college, or to tell him to do whatever he wants, essentially, to not push him one way or the other.
Yep.
I think that's what I chose as the last one.
Go out on your own. Do your own thing.
So who was your gamer tag then, Frame?
So my gamer tag, and I don't remember seeing this pop up at any time, but anyway, it was Andrew Reiner of Game Informer. He's on my friends list, and so he was the one who told me that Michael should go do his own thing. I don't know if he's the chief. He's not. So Andy McNamara is the head guy, and he's like second in command at Game Informer. But he lives here in Minnesota, obviously. So yeah, he was the one who told me. So thanks, Reiner.
Thanks for giving us the advice. So you finished looping the time thing. You get out of it, and everyone is ill. They're sick to their stomachs. They do not feel at all well. And this time, they have a memory. They remember you having a conversation with Clarissa in the living room, and they seem to remember what that conversation actually was. They're concerned about it rather than just being oblivious the way they usually have been. So you don't have to tell them what's been going on. They already know it.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that everyone was back except for Clarissa. Again, I was a little nervous when the Nona and Jonas disappeared. I thought I had killed them yet again. But yeah, I was very relieved. I was very relieved to see them back. And of course, obviously, Clarissa is MIA again.
I do want to stop for a second to give credit again to Night School Studios for their amazing success in keeping the suspense up. They have played this exact same trick many, many times. The character dies, but they didn't actually die. And the character dies again, but they didn't actually die.
Yeah.
And essentially, every single time it happens, I'm thinking, this time it's real. This time I actually killed him. Oh God, they're dead, and it's my fault. It's really a credit to their storytelling and their game design and narrative that they can make that suspense last, even when they're playing the exact same trick on us.
Did you fall for it too, Frame?
Yes, kind of. I was like, okay, great. What happened to everybody? We're all gone. And trying to recoup again. But at this point, I'm like so on a mission. It's like, you know what? Because during the whole scene down at the pier, the dock there, where you're kind of learning about Adler, and she's, I found a letter on the ground next to the building. There's the mail slot there. That was my first collectible letter. And it talked about essentially a treasure map, right? I mean, it's not really the term they used, but ultimately that's what it was like. I was like, oh, she had things on this island. She knew about this island. There were secrets. There's something. And because my Alex is very much an adventurous person, she was, we got to go figure out this treasure. And so after all this nonsense with Clarissa happened, and it's like, because at this point, doesn't Clarissa say, by dawn, we're just going to take over, so have some fun for the last couple hours of your life. And I was thinking, okay, hey, so I barely paid attention where everyone was, because like, listen, nobody else knows except me. We got to go. I'm going. I got this treasure map, or I need to figure out what's going on. Let's go on a mission. And so I was I felt empowered. And so I was like, I don't need you, Nona, Ren, Jonas, get out of my way. I'm going to go solve this problem.
Very video game alpha of you.
Right? Alex is super take charge.
Our next task is to try and figure out how we are going to get back into the cave. Because the way we're going to save Clarissa and save the day is to get back into the cave. We need to find a way into the secret bunker, the bomb shelter, because the island is riddled with walkways and tunnels that connect that bunker to the cave. We need to confirm that that is actually the case, and we need to find a way to open the bunker. And we do that through viewing slides that Maggie Adler had that show her and Anna and some of the work that they have done on the research on the anomalies on the island already, and ultimately the key that we need, the knowledge that you can use a call and response radio system to actually open the bunker door. We finish that up, and now we have a chance to make another choice. We get to choose who we're going to have as our partner for this last section of the game, right? Nah, it's a fake out. Jonas is coming with you. But you can insult him if you want to.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, man, what the heck?
Yeah, because I chose somebody else. because I'm like, I'm kind of sick of him now at this point. And yeah, it was Jonas yet again.
Yep. No matter what you do, you're getting Jonas with you for this last portion. But you can try and get rid of him and choose someone else. But if you do, it actually just ends up insulting Jonas and making him unhappy with you.
Mm-hmm. Totally did. Yeah, because I was like, I think I was gonna go with I think I said Nona again.
Yeah, makes sense. Spend time with Nona. She's actually pretty reasonable.
Yeah, Nona's.
Mhm.
Yeah, and she's one smart cookie. She figured out that whole triangulation receiver, not whatever that was.
Yeah, she was paying attention to the little clues that had been left around the island. She listened to a radio broadcast because she found it interesting. She's smart, absolutely. And been useful to have her along. But no, we got Jonas.
Yeah, it seems like both of the boys are useless.
Fair point.
I will say it was pretty funny when we were walking, and Nona was trying to figure out the name of the fields, and she's like, Epiphany? Epiphany? And I was like, it's Epiphany. Epiphany Fields, Nona. Oh yeah, okay. I was like, that's such a weird thing to put into the game. But I thought
Maybe
it was
they were
pretty funny.
afraid they were making her seem too smart, so they needed something to show that she was still just a kid.
Maybe.
Well, Jonas and Alex start walking on their path because they need to get to the woods, all the way back into the woods. And as we are walking towards the gate, Alex has a vision. This vision is of Ren drowning.
And this was the same background that was in that initial cave scene where I said it's underwater and there's something in there. It was all blacked out. I couldn't tell what it was. It turns out it was Ren.
Might have been Ren. Could have been the submarine. Could be a lot of things. But we see Ren drowning right now, and Alex is pretty well convinced that it's real, even though at this point, I think it's reasonable to take anything that the game is presenting to us with a great deal of suspicion. Our character believes that it's real, at least. That he might be in danger, or that he is... We need to do something about this, perhaps. But Jonas sort of talks us out of it. He says, you were possessed. You've got that... the spinning like a top and the red eye thing going on again, mumbling, saying something about sandwiches, I think is one of the lines in here. Ultimately, that ends up being mostly just a throwaway scene. More weirdness happening. I think one of the important things about that is that it is a sequence that shows, again, the importance of water as a theme in this and drowning as a theme as this. When we were speaking last time with Adam, he mentioned that he found the anomaly where the cars had ended up in the water and the 4 teenagers in the cars had drowned. And obviously, the officers on the submarine is sunk and they drown. And here is Ren drowning. And a little bit of a spoiler, this is not the only time we're going to see Ren drowning. So something about this is important.
Now, when Jonas was asking all those questions, did either of you make any effort to speak up and be like, I think there's something wrong with Ren, we need to go find Ren? Because in my playthrough, I did not make any effort to rescue him or mention that I think he's in distress.
I came clean about it. I'm like, wait, did I say if Ren's in trouble? I think I mentioned it. Like, I saw Ren drowning, and then the option was like, we should go save him. And I was like, no, we got to go do our thing.
Very, very similar. I told Jonas that I had seen this, that was what was happening to me as he saw me spinning, but that I didn't particularly care because I, as the player, recognized that it was just the game and the island playing with me rather than anything that was necessarily real.
Yeah.
The odds of Alex suddenly developing psychic powers in the middle of this seemed incredibly low, so I was like, no. Let's just move on. If he's drowned, I'll deal with that later on. So from here on out, the game's ability to convince me that the characters who I see dying are actually dying seems to be a little faded. I thought perhaps that was because a lot of it from this point on is Ren, and I just didn't like Ren, so maybe it was just me. Maybe it still works for other people. But not for you guys, it seems. Not in this case.
Yeah, it could be. No.
There's a chance for a really funny optional dialogue bit. Because the woods are approachable from 2 different directions, you can go the direction that Ren and Nona went, and you have to walk right past them. And if you do, Ren starts chatting at you
Yes,
about...
I totally did that.
Did we get this plan wrong? Weren't you supposed to go to the woods? I thought you were supposed to...
Oh, man, I totally did that, too. I walked because I walked up to that thing and I'm like, oh, this isn't the right way. So I backtracked and went the other way. And there was Ren. And he's like, he's like, totally that exactly what you just said.
First, Ren asks if you're taking the scenic route, and Jonas' response amuses the heck out of me, especially having played the game multiple times. This is a sentiment that I think everyone will come to understand sooner or later as you play the game again and again. Everything's the scenic route. This game and this island are not built for quick traversal. Usually roads are built to be close to the shortest path between two spaces, and with some allowances for natural things in the way. Not so much on Edward's Island. The paths wind consistently, and you can only get to places by going completely out of the way first. So it's a little bit awkward, and yeah, everything is the scenic route.
And I got lost multiple times in this game. I don't know if you guys experienced that the first time around, but sadly, I've had to Google OXENFREE map to figure out where the heck I need
in the
to
game,
go.
But while it was helpful for Adam and Freem, as they mentioned in the previous episodes, I could not make heads or tails of that map. It was not at all clear for me, so I definitely feel you there, Petart. I was severely lost at points.
Is there a way to bring the map back up? Because, like, you just see it that once, and then as I travel along, I'm like, I don't remember which area connects to which one.
Isn't it the
So,
back
yeah, I
button?
ended up Googling it because I didn't...
Yeah, I think you can definitely bring the map back up again. I
Yeah.
think it is the back button,
Well.
but I don't remember. But even if you could, it may not have helped
Whoops,
you.
that would have
It
been
didn't help me.
helpful.
Maybe it'll help you, but it didn't help me. But this is a really good time if you wanted to. This section of the game right now is the best time to explore the island because you have access to all the parts of the island, and you can go collect all the remaining anomalies that you have, and all the remaining Adler letters that you can now collect that you couldn't collect earlier. So this is collectible pickup period in any playthrough where you're picking up collectibles. But in this case, you may or may not have because you may not know where they are or that they even exist, and you're really interested in getting on with the story. So as you were going through, how many collectibles did you guys end up picking up?
2.
Ugh. Not once you guys told me about the little radio rocks, I think I did like three of them, and I found one letter.
Not too many.
That's it.
Okay, that's fine.
I found 2 rock piles and 0 letters.
So yeah, my note here is that you can easily kill an extra hour in this section just doing all that kind of collectible work or getting lost. But we're going to press on to the next story-related thing. Depending on which path you take, you can see this now or a little bit later on, but you're quite likely to come across yet another random chair sitting by the side of one of the paths. We had a chair by where Ren was on the Ren's loop, but now we have another chair, and this one looks like an old-fashioned chair, like something pulled out of their time period and being brought into ours. More of that dimensional split and crossover that shouldn't be happening. So pieces of random equipment are showing up in our world more and more regularly from theirs, as they come and try and take us over in ours.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I just thought they were like, oh, it's just random crap around. I mean, I thought it was weird, but it didn't seem like anachronistic. You know, I was like, oh, okay, there's a couch, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the visual is, it's a padded armchair. There's nothing necessarily surprising or unusual about that. You have those in our time period. The reason why it seems like it's from their time period is because Alex says that it looks like it's an old chair from their time period.
Yeah.
I just more related it back to, like you said, in Ren's loop, you know, you had that plain chair there. You come back, and now you have this other chair, and you're like, uh-oh, this is a sign. Something else is going to happen now.
Yep. Another chair, but not on this screen. Nothing much happens on this screen. A little bit of chatter between Alex and Jonas, but until we get to the next screen, we don't have anything big happening. On the next screen, we're going to have another time loop, because the game can't have enough time loops.
Nope.
Nope, this was an interesting time loop.
Yeah, this one took me a little while because I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go initially. It wasn't as well signposted as some of the earlier ones. You have to go into the cabin where we found Ren initially, and as soon as we're into the cabin, Jonas is basically immediately possessed and starts chatting at us as the ghosts. And they offer us a deal.
This was a great conversation. I really liked this.
The ghosts want us to stop trying so hard to save Clarissa. Because, well, they've already won, but let's make it easier on everybody, and then they don't have to hurt us. They don't have to hurt Ren. They can just take Clarissa and ride off into the sunset on her, because they're going to do that anyway, and we can just sort of be peaceable about it.
Yeah. I went ahead and said, Deal. Go ahead. She's all yours.
You took the deal.
Totally. It's like, you're not going to slaughter my friends? Awesome. Take Clarissa. Look, she's already gone. I haven't seen her the whole game, so it doesn't bother me.
I said that I was going to save everybody. I wasn't going to let the ghost take anyone. Because, I just didn't want any more people dying on this island.
Which is totally fair.
Yeah, that was my selection as well. But taking the deal, it certainly sounds appealing. But even when you take the deal, the ghosts aren't particularly friendly about it. So how did that work out for you? Did they jump with joy because you took up on the deal, or how did that go for you? Because you're still going to go and try to complete this plan.
Yeah, I was super cynical about the whole thing. Like, Alex was just kind of a jerk. Like, it's like she was just getting tired of the whole thing. Like, listen, you already told me what your plan was. Sure, you take Clarissa, fine, whatever. I'm still going to go do my thing. Like, because in the back of my head, because even Jonas then after this event, he kind of confronts you about what happened. And I told him the truth. I was like, yeah, I said I was going to get Clarissa. I said I traded Clarissa for my friends. And he was like freaked out. He took your guys' stance of, what? Like, no, we can't have all these people getting hurt, and like even one person's too many, and he's all, and I was like, you're just a liker. You just want to hook up with her anyway, so I don't care what you think. And they didn't really give me the option, and when they did, and I was like, look, I don't even believe them, so it's not gonna stop me because I can't trust them. They're freaking ghosts. What are they? So yeah, they can have Clarissa, whatever. I'm still gonna do my thing. Maybe I can fix the whole thing. But when you click that option, you're like, well, I wasn't really going to do it. I'm like, oh, Alex, don't be such a coward. If you had in writing and that, a ghost contract, and that if they broke this contract, they would get sucked up into Luigi's vacuum, like, then I'd feel more comfortable about it. But I don't trust these ghosts, these dead people. Like, they're going to do whatever they want or whatever they can to stay alive, just like I'm going to do whatever I need to do to stay alive.
But still in our time loop, we have another kind of weird vision flashback moment here where we see in the river is Ren.
Ren was in a river?
Yeah. In the middle of this flashback, Ren's in the river.
Well, I didn't even see this, like, underneath that bridge, right, where the gondola is?
Under the bridge, yes.
Yeah, I didn't even see him down there. I saw Nona standing on the one side, but I didn't see Ren anywhere for the first thing. And she's like, oh, Ren's dead, he's drowned or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I saw it in the vision. Like, I didn't even see what they're talking about. And so I was just like, yeah, no, he's not really dead. Don't worry about it, Nona. Just do your thing. It's fine. And then all of a sudden, he appears up on the rock, like crumpled on the rocks, dead. It's like, oh, wait. Well, now he's dead there, but I know that's not real either. And like, I'm just trying to talk Nona off the ledge. I actually jumped into the middle of the river on that rock in there. And I was kind of standing around like, it's fine. It's fine, guys. Just stop freaking out, okay? I need to get fixed out of this time loop so we can go try to save our friends. Ren's not really dead.
Yeah, first he drowned, then he fell, then Ren just stopped. Ren just stopped.
Yeah.
And then the ghosts come back because you tell them, forget it, I know this isn't real, or you can make other dialogue choices, but I think that's a pretty obvious one. You're telling the ghosts off, this isn't real, stop playing games with us, let's do this. And they say,
just never say we didn't provide you all the rules.
which I call utter BS on, by the way, because they really never did.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, what I wrote in my notes that they conclude that they say, Alex, this time loop is of your own making. Like, you've done this. They pretty much saying she's the one who set it in motion and she's the one who's, got the ball rolling on that and ultimately is the one controlling it with her radios.
I had that conversation in the house. It was very similar conversation with Clarissa in the house, where Clarissa's like, hey, you started the game. You tuned in with the radio in the cave. What do you want me to do about it?
But yeah, they didn't talk about the radios. That was my inference. But yeah, they definitely said this time loop is of Alex's making.
They leave us, and it's time to do the old magnetophone wind up again. Pull the pencil out, wind up the tape one more time on 3 more magnetophones. What's interesting about this one is most of the time when we're doing this in the time loops, we're by ourselves. In this time loop, Nona is here, and it seems like the real Nona, except that it's not because she's responding to Ren's death. And her response is really heartfelt. This death is getting to her in a way that it isn't getting to me. And again, maybe it's because I didn't like Ren, or maybe it's because I knew it wasn't real, and Nona thinks it's real because she hasn't experienced this as many times as we have. But she's completely shaken by this.
Yeah.
And when we finish unwinding the time loop, she's gone again. So we unwound her. She's back with the real Ren in front of the bomb shelter.
Yeah, I didn't even see Nona sitting there at first. 'Cause I was trying to get to that other recorder. When you do those, do you have to do the timing of the circular pattern? Because I just, every time I had them, I just went really fast, and it worked. But I felt like these that didn't fly. Like I needed to be a little bit more timing.
They all require some timing.
No, I had the same experience.
Oh, okay.
I experienced the same thing with this one frame because before I just got up to him, whipped my stick as fast as I could, and
Yeah.
this. But yeah, this one actually, you had to. It's almost like it was this clear music sequence. When you were at the right spot.
Yeah, right. It sounded really normal, nice. Yeah, that's exactly right.
The music plays in sync when you do it at the correct speed and tempo, and it's always been possible to do it too fast or too slow. Maybe this one's more difficult because they are trying to introduce new challenges. First we had 1, then we had 2, then we had 3. Now we have 3 again, but maybe it's the window for the speed you have to use has been narrowed. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, okay.
But we get out of the time loop. We got Jonas back to us. We talked to him about the deal or not. You told him about the deal, Freem.
Totally did.
Did you tell him about the fact that the ghosts offered you a deal, Petart?
I did tell him that they offered a deal.
I did too. I think that's the right choice. Just because the ghosts, even if they are, not successful in taking over our bodies, we don't want them to sow dissent between us and our friends. I mean, we're not going to get very far with Clarissa, probably, but if the ghosts are offering us a deal and we don't tell Jonas, and if we don't tell Ren and Nona about the offer of the deal, and they find out about it from the ghosts during one of these flashbacks during this sequence, maybe they're shown a vision of us interacting with the ghosts, that could go very poorly for us, I think.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, good point.
And they don't play by the rules. They're going to show the best version of the thing that they can to make themselves look good.
Oh, yeah.
We have to walk up the screen that we couldn't walk up to before because of the time loop, and get to the new building, unlock the door with the radio lock one more time, go inside, talk to Ren and Nona, who are blabbing on, per usual,
Yeah.
and send the signal and the door can open.
That was a funny bit of dialogue of them over the PA, like just chatting away, having a good time. It's like it felt it really grounded the situation. Like it helped break the tension a little bit of like, okay, hey, look, they're okay. You're okay. You're solving this. You're figuring some things out, because I only imagine that once we get past this door, things are not going to be as okay.
It almost seemed like they were flirting over the speakers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's again, a couple weeks ago, Freem, you mentioned that the story writing is doing a good job of building tension and then hitting us hard with a scene and then breaking that tension with some humor or some entertaining things so that it's not this constant barrage. We get a chance to relax so they can build the tension back up, to ratchet it back up, and put us through the ringer again. Because if it's nonstop tension, then it just doesn't actually work as a narrative. You need to have ups and downs, and this is one of those moments where they give us a chance to relax.
Absolutely.
We send the signal, it all works, we get the confirmation voice, and it's time to walk back to the bomb shelter. And we're almost done, but we have a few more things we had to cover first, because as we're walking back to the bomb shelter, we get another flashback. Michael and Alex are on the Edwards Island again, and it's as we transition from this scene to the next scene on the way back to the bomb shelter, and Jonas is saying, we made a mistake, and then it's Michael telling us we made a mistake. It's basically the transition of stepbrother to brother about the time when we stole a car to go to a party that we weren't supposed to go to with our friend. This flashback is showing off some interesting dynamics of the relationship between Michael and Alex. They have a close relationship. They are friendly. They love each other. I have some daughters who are probably about the same age difference between Michael and Alex, and yet I can tell you that they don't act like Michael and Alex are acting right now. They love each other, but they're not going to be like this right now. In 5 or 6 years, when they are Michael and Alex's age, maybe they'll get to that point. But right now, they're fighting a lot.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get this way with my brother until I left for college. So that's when we got this relationship, is when I finally moved out of the house.
You need to have some separation. If you're living under the same roof as somebody, it's real hard to get along with them sometimes.
Absolutely. It was the same with my brother. When I left, we became a lot closer.
I blame it on them, by the way. It's the
Oh,
other
absolutely.
party's
It's always
fault.
their fault.
It's the younger siblings' fault for sure.
Well, they came along later, right? So they ruined the thing.
Exactly.
So I think that Alex in this flashback situation is experiencing that differently because obviously it's Alex from the island in this moment from the past, and so she has different memories than the Alex who was actually there. She doesn't have the memories of the Alex who was there, who was living with Michael at that point, and probably very much annoyed by his, normal habits that are frustrating to us as we live with each other. She's been separated from him for a year. She's been grieving him for a year. So that separation on her side makes a lot of sense, and she does miss him.
Yeah, this was a nice little moment. I had I enjoyed this and kind of opened up to Michael and was just because I essentially knowing what was happening or what was going to happen, like, hey, like, this is gonna be our last time. I love you. That kind of stuff. Real cutesy.
And in this conversation, Michael also responds to our conversation with him from the previous flashback, the one we had when we were walking to the Adler house. He has a response to our decision, our recommendation to him on how to handle the Clarissa situation. So my recollection is that, Freem, you told him to break up with Clarissa.
He
so
totally
he said,
did.
He did. He said, I thought it over, and it wasn't going to work out. So, yeah, we're done. And now what that means is that in addition to us being responsible in Clarissa's mind in your version for him drowning on this trip to the island that we're experiencing, she also is going to blame us, if she knows about this, for causing the breakup.
Yeah.
Oh.
So first he breaks up with her, and then we kill him. So she really doesn't like you, Freem.
It's mutual. Hey, I'm sacrificing her to ghosts. Of course, it's what.
Yeah, you're
It's
brutal
all
to
downhill
her.
from here. How did it go for you, Pete Art?
I don't really remember him saying anything significant about her, but I did advise him to stick it out with her.
And so did he mention that he was, or was it just because that was the status quo, there wasn't much to say?
I believe it was the status quo.
Okay. This flashback ends as Michael's talking about his own options, his own pressures. The pressure of being a smart, gifted athlete from this podunk town who is looking for a way out, and yet everyone else in the town looks up to him as the town's future. He's got a bright future as the mayor of this city if he just stays here or something. But isn't there something better for him out there if he goes off to college rather than staying in the town? And he's not entirely sure what he's supposed to do. And he tells this story about their Uncle Pete, who did leave. And the bit of advice that Uncle Pete gave was that it wasn't a hard decision about whether or not to leave. The hard decision was about deciding what to bring and what to leave behind. And it's more meaningful than just the physical stuff that he's bringing, but what parts of the town in his own self is he going to bring, and what parts of the town and small town life is he going to leave behind.
I thought that was very, very poetic as well, given the situation that they're in and everything that's been going on. I thought that was, it made sense. It was, again, very good writing.
We wake up from our flashback, and once again, because we were in a flashback, Jonas tells us that we were out of it possessed, red eyes, spinning around, whatever it was that we were doing, not great. So it's happening more frequently. Jonas is having his moments more frequently, and it's not comfortable for him. It's very clear that as the night wears on and becomes early morning and then later morning as we get closer to dawn, the ghosts are right. Their seeping in is becoming more and more permanent. So we got to hurry up. We got to get to the bunker and finish this. Fortunately, it's not too far away now because we wake up on the correct screen. All we got to do is walk around the bend, and there are Nona and Ren waiting for us.
Which I totally went the wrong way again. Like, it even put
ways.
you on the path to go down. They're like, you are halfway down this path, and I was like, well, I better just go the other way then. I was like, oh, man, that was stupid.
As I said, every way is the scenic route.
Yeah.
You can go both directions, and you have to double back either way. So Ren and Nona are talking. What are they talking about for you, Freem? Do you recall?
Oh, yeah, Ren was trying to figure out like some homework thing. Crap, what was it? Like a science project or something? Oh, I can't remember the details. I didn't write it down, but it was one of those like you're worried about what's gonna happen when you get back to the island. Like, we're not off this island yet. What do you get your head out of your butt? We need to get focus.
Okay. How about you, Petart? What were they talking about for you?
Mine was definitely not homework. Mine, they were going, well, don't talk about it. I don't want you to talk about it. Oh, I'm not going to tell anybody. Are you going to tell anybody? And it was just like a back and forth of that. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody. And then I had the option on Alex to pipe in with one of three things, and I just chose, so what is it I'm not talking about, or something like that.
And what are you not supposed to talk about? What's the secret?
Ren blurts it out. They're dating.
Oh,
Congratulations, you're going to get an achievement.
What the hell? I didn't get that.
You won't get an achievement.
Because Freem is the destroyer of relationships in this game.
Yes.
It seems like it.
Man.
So yeah, this is when the game sort of tells you if you succeeded along the path of matchmaking between Ren and Nona. If they're dating here, then you're going to get the made Ren and Nona successfully date achievement at the end of the game, which is not too far away here. But it doesn't matter too much because you'll have a chance to get it on your next playthrough or the next one. And it's not that hard to do if you're trying for it. So
our pictures are going to be different then.
Are they?
Yeah, the pictures will be different because the relationship is, are they standing next to each other or apart from each other? And then the facial expressions are going to be very different as well.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a picture of this one later on, I think.
Yeah, because in mine, Nona and Ren are like cuddling and holding each other. Alex just looks annoyed, or just like she really doesn't want to have the picture taken. And Jonas is like, hey, look at me. I'm suave and awesome.
And before we go into the open bunker, after having had our conversation and having our picture taken against our will, perhaps, but we had to do it because Ren insisted, we have one last chance to interact with all three of the characters here. We can interact with Ren, we can interact with Nona, we can interact with Jonas, or we can interact with two or three of them. Our choice. We go up to them and give them a hug or not. Did you guys hug anybody?
I hugged
no, I
everybody.
ran straight into the bunker.
Oh, that's funny. Nope, I went and hugged everyone. I was like, this has to be an achievement if I hug everybody. Nope.
No achievement for hugging everybody.
Nope.
And Peter, you ran straight into the bunker. I know that our contributor last week, Carpe Adam 79, also ran straight into the bunker because we were talking about that, and he was very frustrated with himself for running straight into the bunker because he felt that he missed out on something like an achievement as well, like Freem was talking about. But no, you haven't missed anything.
Nope.
It's a sweet scene, but it's really not all that significant.
Oh, that makes me feel better, because like I was just hating on Freem for being the relationship destroyer, and he stops and hugs everybody, and I go straight into the bunker.
You got a mission to do, though. I understand it.
I want to save everybody.
When I hugged Ren, and he was just, he was kind of like, oh yeah, hey, thanks. And then Nona was like, oh, okay, we're doing this? What? Like, she was weirded out by it. And then Jonas was also kind of like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. So it was kind of interesting.
Jonas's words are, I believe, I'm coming with you, right?
Right, because of the how the playthrough was going, it was like, yeah, I'm sorry, guys, I was kind of a jerk.
The night is long. I'm super tired. I'm hangry. It's been a bad night for everybody. Let's get this done. All right, and that is where we're going to leave it. You enter the bunker, and you're at the top of a long ladder into the bomb shelter. We're going to explore the bomb shelter next week, get to the finale of the game, which is not too far away. There's only half an hour or 45 minutes of gameplay left, and that may be overselling it in a certain sense. There's not a lot left, but there's a lot of stuff we're going to have to talk about. So we're still going to have a lot of discussion next week, and we hope you can be a part of it. If you want to join us in our discussion, we have a Discord server. The Discord server is discord.io/AH101. If you want to be part of our conversation live, get in touch with me on the Discord or Tree Achievements. I'm Kronos. That's spelled very oddly. It's XPOVOS. And let me know that you're interested so we can get you on board if we can for the last week's recording. And let us know your thoughts, your favorite fan theories about what's happened, why this is happening, and what's going to happen next. I would love to hear from everybody who's played what their experiences were. So get in touch with us if you want to. And regardless, if you've been part of this, I hope you've enjoyed the game so far and our conversation about it. Let us know what you think in the Discord or send me a message. And for everyone, especially to Freemhole and Petart for joining me here tonight, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
It's been fun.
Bye.